Hi, everyone. I hope that you had an enjoyable weekend. Um, as stated in the syllabus, we've got class online this week, so you have lots of flexibility of when you complete the tasks and the activities. I would like you to have them completed by Saturday night. It's not a horrible big deal if you go into Sunday, but I like to be able to get in there and see how people are doing with activities as I start to plan for the following week. So Sunday nights you drop dead, but try to get it done by Saturday. Better yet, get it done Friday and enjoy your weekend. Anyway, the focus for this week is on partly based on the readings and also just, I guess, major focus is WIDA. So you have two readings, which I'll prep you for in a second. And then we're going to be doing, I've got another presentation, which I'm doing for you, that's also a screencast that is focused on WIDA. We're going to be doing an activity with that I'm hoping will also support you in the lesson plan redesign assignment. Let's see, I'd like to help you think about connections between WIDA and the Common Core. What else are we doing this week? I've created a survey for the mid-semester self-assessment that you can do. So anyway, that's all here in ReggieNet for you. So let's move on. I guess I already went over all of this for you. One thing that I didn't yet say is this right here. I do recommend that not in this presentation, but in the next presentation, which is the screencast presentation of WIDA, I do recommend having with you or handy the documents in part 1 of your resources kit. Those are going to be helpful to you potentially during the screencast presentation. You can pause and look up some documents if need be. And also I think that those will be helpful to you as you engage in a collaborative activity that you'll do in this week's class after watching my screencast presentation on WIDA. The collaborative activity that I will have you engage in, which you'll see in ReggieNet, includes taking a mini lesson that I downloaded and then annotated. And it's a first grade lesson that's a language arts lesson. In particular, it's focused on phonics. I chose first grade because that is a grade level that is relevant to everyone in this class, regardless of whether you're an early childhood major or an LED major. So that's why I chose first grade. My plan is that you'll be able to work collaboratively and apply principles of effective instruction that we have been addressing for the last few weeks now, that you'll also be reading about in our readings for this week, and as well as information about WIDA that I'll be presenting to you. So that's an overview of this week's class. In terms of the readings, so you have two readings. One of them is Gibbons, that's the scaffolding language and scaffolding learning book, and you're going to be reading chapter 3 of that, and that's focused on collaborative group work. The reason, though, that I chose this chapter for this week is that you're really going to be delving into and building on some of the principles for instruction that we discussed in weeks 7 and 8 in class. And we've talked a lot about teacher scaffolding, and one of the nice things about this chapter is it's going to help you think about peer scaffolding and how students working in small groups or in partners can really be a supportive structure for English language learners. One of the things is that it does is it enables children to really tap into the strengths and the prior understandings and individual, I guess, interests and strengths and abilities that different kids will bring to a small group, as well as engaging kids in dialogue, which we talked about dialogic teaching in weeks 7 and 8. But whenever you get kids interacting and constructing meaning together, learning can become more robust. So it'll focus on that as well. One of the nice things is it's let's see what page is, oh, page 74, it says right there. There's a checklist, and it's easy to miss. It doesn't look all that exciting. It's at the top of page 74. So make sure you take a look at that. When I saw that, I thought, gosh, that could be a helpful checklist for you to use when you're thinking about your lesson redesign assignment. You could use that that checklist, among other things, to just ask yourself if you're planning meaningful activities and if you're planning for group work in that lesson plan, are you doing that in robust ways? So I think that might be helpful to you. Your second reading is in our other book, Educating English Language Learners for an Inclusive Environment, and you're going to be reading chapter 5 of this book. Chapter 5 is really focused on assessment of English learners. It also focuses on instruction. And one of the things that I like about this chapter is the dual focus on effective instruction and assessment really reminds us that instruction should be informed by assessment. And so, we don't just pull things out of thin air to teach, even though sometimes standards documents like the Common Core make us feel that way. As you're reading this chapter, I would like you to pay particular attention to how the authors describe ongoing assessment. Within that section, they talk about formative assessment and summative assessment. And when you learn about WIDA in some of the documents that I'm going to be showing you, actually highlight what you're going to be looking for across language development levels in what kids can do and how they can demonstrate or illustrate what they know, and what that might look like for both formative assessment and summative assessment. So that's one of the reasons I want you to pay particular attention to that. I also want you to pay particular attention, very close attention, to the author's descriptions of WIDA. WIDA does not take up the whole chapter. It's just a section within this chapter. But because Illinois is a WIDA state, and because there's a big focus in many of your other classes, as I mentioned last week, on academic language and on just standards in the Common Core, I really want you to be familiar with WIDA, and so that's why we're spending so much time on this. So those are the two readings. I'm going to end this introductory video now, but do be sure that before you proceed to the next video screencast, that you do both of the readings and that you do them carefully. I will see you in the next screencast.